Hey, what a day, huh? Uh, Time for some gratitude to the trading gods or Donald J. Trump or sweet baby Jesus, anybody. Here's my thank you. Thank you that this announcement of Trump folding, of him wilting, of him being as weak a man as I always knew, came during market hours instead of in the middle of the night. Thank God. Let me explain why. I ended the day yesterday incredibly short, like insanely short. I did not sleep well because I was worried about something happening during the night. If the announcement came before the open that, oh, we're going to suspend the tariffs for 90 days, which he did, that would have been very bad for me. Instead, what happened is we opened red, and I looked at the charts and the intraday charts, and I wrote about this and said, I think the bad news ain't working anymore because things are not down as much as they should be. I think it's time to lighten up. So I did kind of three phases today. Phase one, lightened way up on shorts. In phase two, and if you follow me on Twitter, you saw this. If you don't, you should. Slope of Hope, at Slope of Hope. A couple of 3 hours in the trading day, I said buy XOP and buy EFA. And about 20 to 30 minutes later, Trump wilted and gave up on all the tariffs he's been going on and on about for the past week. And the markets absolutely exploded higher. I mean, thousands of points on the Dow, hundreds on the ES, thousands on the NQ. And so those were instantly like giant profits. So phase one took profits on shorts. Phase two got profits on longs, and I dumped them. Maybe it'll soon, I don't know. But it was kind of instant money. And phase three, which I've been doing frantically over the past few minutes, is getting short again. Now, let me be clear. I'm not going bananas shorting. It's selective, no options, just good old plain simple short sales on a few ETFs. So nothing crazy. But if I'm going to point to one error on my part, and here's I say this every time, I'm not an Elliott wave expert. I know the basics, and even those I get wrong sometimes. But my perception was that we are in wave 5 now, kind of the final leg down. Nope, I was wrong. We are still in wave 4. And we may be getting close to the end of wave 4, or it may go through tomorrow. But wave 5 is coming, which is very exciting because wave 5 is going to be a lot bigger than I thought it might be. So I was wrong on that. I had said recently that, if memory serves, 5537 was the target on the ES. We're getting closer. We're at 5439. And so tomorrow morning is the CPI, which tends to be important stuff. Let's just say the CPI is cool. That would get people more excited and would augment this rally and maybe get us up to 55.37. And so my short's a little early, it's true. Lose some money on that. But the thing is that, above all else, this is a very chart-friendly market. Unfortunately, it's kind of a full-time job. Some of my readers actually work for a living, and they're going crazy because they're off to meetings and doing this and that. And you got to be like this all the time, to make the most money on this crazy market. So that's the tough part. That if there's so many wild swings, it's kind of a full-time job, kind of a 24-hour job too, because you can worry all the rest of the time. Okay, so that's my kind of preface. That's where I think we're at. It's been a really exciting day. The past week has been amazing in terms of trading activity. And I've got a little fewer symbols than normal. And I compiled this list before the announcement. So, let's see how it goes. Here's the spider. Absolutely explosive move. On Monday, I guess it was, we got pretty close to the major trend line. We're blasting higher now. What would make a nice terminus to this rally would probably be this gap. This was the big gap on the second. That was Can you believe it's only been 5 days? I think that's right. Let's just check. This is an important point. Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. Yeah, this was Liberation Day. And so going back to the low of Liberation Day last Wednesday would be a nice, clean place to end this rally. So I'm probably a little early on these shorts, I'll admit. But that's not a bad target. The diamonds cracked below their trend line, and they're getting kind of close to this particular gap. So there's sort of two gap possibilities. This one here. So I'm already short the diamonds, and I could get stopped out of that. If we just keep going, the next one is up here, which again aligns with Liberation Day. That gap. IWM, the small caps, this was the target. I'll eventually get rid of this. I'd just like to acknowledge that was the target. We totally nailed that, but we're rallying, and there's really only one meaningful gap right here, which is like so. Yeah, and we're at the highs of the day right now. So I'm almost certainly too early with the shorts that I did put in on the ETFs, but there seems to be a little more to go here. Now, a big driver of all this was bonds, because there's been a lot of chatter about the basis trade and how the hedge funds, bless their hearts, have been losing an incredible amount of money on that, and that's really why they folded on this tariff thing, because the hedge fund billionaires were screaming at Trump, and he finally raised the well-worn white flag, and so bonds are rallying mightily today from where they had gotten battered. So that's kind of interesting. But you can only suspend the tariffs once, right? The only other good, and this, again, one of the reasons I'm so excited about this is that there's an enormous amount of uncertainty that just disappeared, which is why the VIX is plunging. It's same old. Print trillions of dollars of new money, go deeper into debt, same old. All this nonsense about Liberation Day and a brave new world and let's tough it out and Hank tough. Can't even spell Hank tough. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Know your enemy. Weak, vacillating, flop. And so it's happened again. The only uncertainty out there now is, okay, what does China do? Because if they surrender all of a sudden, that would be more good news, I suspect, for the market. But this whole will he, won't he thing is kind of gone now, because we've got this 90-day shtick. So it makes things less stressful, a little easier. We can maybe sleep at night again. EFA, which was one of my tweets about buy the EFA, is up massively. It's up over 7%. The gap on this one still has a little ways to go. But yeah, it's just been so interesting from a charting perspective. Major items which are rallying toward important exhaustion points include things like Apple. And so I'll just sort of touch upon what I think is the appropriate targets for these and the reversals. Halliburton. So oil's rallying, of course, tremendously here. Hilton, and some of these have already, this one actually, that's not a gap, silly, it's up there. So Hilton's up, like so. Honeywell. So a lot of these wipeouts they're healing, they're coming back, they're restoring, those lost prices. Seagate, this has ways to go. But these are the kinds of things, I'm not making this up. I sold all my puts when Seagate was down here because it was just stretched too far. Obviously, I did not know this announcement was coming, but it was just so deep. It's like, all right, just take your profits. There'll be a better price in the future. Nike, it's working on some repairs there. Still got a little way to go. And Meta, another good example. This one's actually exceeded its gap. It's gone just blasting higher, so it's even pushed past this gap. But it is getting into this thicket of overhead supply, which should slow things down. So you get the idea. XLF, which I was short and covered at at a pretty good price is getting near its own price gap, like so. So let's get rid of this. There should only be one line here. So the gap is right there. So I just got to drive this home. So much damage has been undone so quickly, because even earlier today, just hours ago, we were sitting there, the gap was way up there. There was so much repair to do. It's like, will it take weeks to get? No, it's taking a couple or 3 hours to undo all this. I mean, there's probably huge short positions getting covered, people falling all over themselves, buying stocks, etc. So there's been a lot of, unwinding of that. So it's happening very quickly. And specifically Bank of America, BAC, rallying as well, obviously. And Lattice Semiconductor, here's another good example. Here's the gap. We were way down here yesterday. Look how quickly it's moved. Look at that, 22%. 22% gain just today. So these are massive, massive moves. All of which is to say, I think it's setting itself up for another fall. As I say, hopefully wave 5 where we take out those lows from Sunday on the futures. XLU, also huge rally. This may be ready to short again right now, right this second, because we're at the broken trend line. We've got this here. This might be a good setup right now. And the next era in EE, which I covered earlier today, thank God, is rallying too. But again, back up to, it's just opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, just on a silver platter, I think. I mean, if we just keep going higher and hit new highs, obviously all of this is wrong. But as things stand right now, it's just like silver platter, it's a gift. All the setups are returning. It might not be till tomorrow. The CPI will be instructive, but it's pretty cool. Gold has had another tremendous day. Look at this, $117.50 up on the front month. So it had been falling for days, bang, 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 and it unwound most of that damage swiftly because the government is an inflationary creature. The printing presses are worried again. Silver up almost 4%. Terrific day for silver, although it's not near lifetime highs like gold is. Oil also rallying terrifically and getting close to this broken trend line, which is just beneath this right triangle pattern. Setups are appearing. And XOP, which I'd also tweeted about, at a great price, is up over 12%, and its own gap is right like so. So it's pretty amazing stuff. Let's close with this chart. This is the ES chart. I think I showed you this yesterday. This is the ES chart with the Fibonacci's, and I put tints on them. And we have moved very quickly. And so if I may clumsily offer my own updated Elliott wave idea, it's like wave 1, 2, 3, this big one down, and then 4. We're in the midst of now. When will it end? I'm guessing something like, as I said, over and over again, 5537, which could well come tomorrow. So that is the long and short of it, as they say. So anyway, like the old saying goes, better be lucky than smart. Definitely got lucky today. Very, very lucky. And I hope you're doing all right. Even having fun, dare I say.